Hello everyone, in today's video we'll be taking a look at this 36 tube set of Paul Rubens Artist Watercolors. This is their professional line. It comes in this very nice box. We'll also be comparing this to all the pan sets. I'll explain more about that later. We open these up, there's the brochure. It has all their colors, there's more on the back side, as well as information about their paint, which makes it sound very fancy. Has the foam sheet, and look at these beautiful tubes of watercolor paint. They're so pretty. So A+ for packaging. These are 5mm tubes. They have the paint name on the front and the pigment information, light fastness, and transparency on the back. I have 4 of their other 24 pan sets, and there are colors in this set that I do not have, and you'll get to see all of those here in a minute, but just take a minute and enjoy the beauty of this box of paint. So moving on, these are the other sets I mentioned. There are 5 here plus the large ceramic pans, but the one set on the far right is actually the pearlescent set, so that doesn't really count when we're comparing colors. So we're going to look at color names and especially pigment information of this tube set versus these other 4 pan sets. And again, like I mentioned in the beginning, I'll tell you how things re-wet and we'll go from there. It's going to be a fun comparison. Let's get started. I have most of my previous sets of Paul Rubens already swatched out for my watercolor database. You can see they're in these little business card holders here, and I am just going to lay them all out by color order, basically. And I noticed I was missing some from my 5th generation pan set. That's the pink one with the little zebra stripes. Not sure what happened there, but it is fun to see all of these laid out like this. This is kind of why I did this database, get a good color comparison. I could tell from this first laydown of cards that some were missing, so I went back through the database again and found all of these, all the rest I should say. So there are just a few more here than you saw in the last clip, but oh, the desk is a mess right now. Good thing it's large. So with all the sets that I have the Emerald set, the 4th generation, the 5th generation, the Floral set, and then this is an unknown one here. So whatever this one is that I'm not sure I've even swatched, it just seems very unused. These are the colors that appear new in this set. The cadmium yellow medium, but we will compare them to the actual colors and swatches. Chromium orange hue. I'll tell you the pigments when we swatch them. Indian red, quinacridone violet, cobalt blue light, the azure hue, which I thought I had an azure in Paul Rubens, but perhaps I am thinking of aquatone because they had one called azure now that I think about it. The brilliant blue violet, I'm excited to see that one. And enthroned blue, one of my favorite blues, and I just can't find it in any of these other sets, so I'm excited about that. And then sap green. But we'll put them back in here and we'll just compare them pigment by pigment to these other sets, and I'm going to try and do it quickly so you're not sitting here forever. Just put dots out on this palette paper from the tube set so I can see how they re-wet after being dried out, and these are dried out. So this is the Naples yellow. This one is the PW6 PY53 PBR24 version of Naples yellow, and it only has one match to it from the other sets, and that is the 5th generation sets. And most of the tube set matched the colors that were in the 5th generation. That's good to keep in mind. The 5th generation set came with 24 colors. The tube set has 36. So I'm just going to put a little bit more there. Yeah, so they're interesting. 5th generation Naples yellow, even with the same pigments, is not the same. The 4th generation Naples yellow is more pink. It has red in it. So PW6, PR242, and PY42. And this is pretty much the only one I'm going to swatch, the ones that don't match the pigment information. Just thought you might want to see the differences between them. And then in the floral set, there's very interesting yellow, sienna, deep, and it's an earth yellow that in the swatches, it looks very similar to these other Naples yellows. So you can see here, it's a little bit more brown because it's a PY42, but I thought it was interesting. So the Emerald set has the more pinky one, pinky peachy one like the 4th generation. I would say the 4th generation and the emerald set match. But okay, well, the tube set and the 5th gen, even with the exact same pigments, do not even get close to matching. So we'll have to add a tube of that. So the lemon yellow has a lot of matches from these other sets, and including the very large ceramic pan ones that I just did a review on not that long ago. And from the big swatches I could see from my watercolor database project, most of them look like they match exactly. So let's find out though, because we do have them all right here in handy. So this is the only one that looks a little different, the emerald set, at least without swatching it. This one's called light lemon yellow. And in the emerald set, it kind of looks like it has white in it, but it looks like it's swatching out just as vibrant as the others. And then because I forgot about the large ceramic pans, this one got squished over to the side. But yeah. So yes, I would say those are all equivalent for the most part. This emerald set one almost looks a little bit more vibrant. Isn't that interesting? So for the cadmium yellow light, there is only one other set with the exact same pigment in it as the tube set here. And that's the 5th generation set, as usual. So let's grab that one, mix that in. It had a little green in it. Yeah, those look very much equivalent. And as far as the hue goes, these other ones kind of looked like they would match from the other generations. So this is the 4th generation cadmium yellow hue. Yeah, that's pretty similar. They're kind of in the slightly different angle of light here, but if anything, it's probably just a slight deeper yellow. And then we have cadmium yellow hue from the emerald set. Beautiful. But I think these could all be interchangeable so far. Let's try the permanent yellow medium from the floral set. So that's a different pigment entirely, PY65, and that is a different hue than these other ones. So that's the only one that's a little bit offset. And by the way, when I'm saying emerald set, in case you don't know, it's the one that has this beautiful emerald palette. So I just swatched this cadmium yellow medium from the tube set, and there's no other pigment that matches this. I mean, these are PY35s. This claims it's a PY35, but they're obviously very different. However, seeing this swatched out, I bet you that this permanent yellow medium from the floral set is going to be a pretty good match for that. Yeah, so it won't match these, but it will match this one. And that was a PY65 supposedly. Now, Paul Rubens is not always 100% accurate on their pigment information, so we have to be aware of that. But okay, yeah, so I would say they could be interchangeable. What do you think? And this one may be slightly different as well, but these three definitely look the same to me. Okay, one I'm kind of excited about, Indian yellow. And yes, luckily these dried from the tube and are re-wetting just fine. We don't have a problem with that so far. Granted, they're not poured into pans, and so we can't really judge their cracking or shrinking from this, but that's okay. Now in the floral set, we have an Indian yellow with the same pigment, so we can put that in here. Kind of get a good idea. Yep, they look the same. All right, there's several of these earth yellows. Not usually my favorite pigment. Sometimes they can be okay. Here's the 5th generation earth yellow. Looks exactly the same. 4th gen earth yellow. I only put a name up here if they had a different name for them. So they are all called earth yellow in these sets. Here's the emerald set. That one seemed harder to re-wet, yet it looks like I got way more pigment off of it. Interesting. So with the exception of getting more pigment off of it, it looks exactly the same as the others. Now we have a fun pigment, the PY150, which can usually be so super bright. It's called transparent yellow. This one feels like it may have dried out a little bit more hard from the tube than some of these other colors so far. And the only one we have a match to this is in the floral set. Even looks the same in tube. So it's nickel yellow from the floral set. Let's see what that looks like. That one re-wet really easily. So I kind of have more pigment at the top of that one than I do the other one. Let's see if I can get a little bit more at the top of this one to make it a little bit more of an equal comparison. Not so much. This paper is a little tricky. I could have probably used slightly different paper and would have been an easier comparison, but I would say that those, you could interchange those. They might not be a 100% match, but they're very close. Hey, chromium orange hue as a PO62. This seems nice and strong. Whoops, super easy to re-wet from the tube. My brush just got a little dry because this paper soaks up the water. Isn't that a bright orange? It's beautiful. Let's see. Same name, same pigment. Had a little more water in my brush that time. But that's all right. You can tell they're exactly the same. Real quick, before we move along, because these are dry now, look at the Naples yellows. They are closer now in hue than they were before, now that they're dry. These two. Those, yeah, we won't talk about those. Anyway, so they probably could be interchangeable, although the 5th generation is more bright. It really is, but you could probably get away with just using one or the other. So I have to decide when I make my big, comprehensive Paul Rubens watercolor palette if I'm going to put them both in or just one of them. Food for thought. But the rest all look just the same, dry. Moving on, we have 3 transparent oranges. I'm excited for these because transparent oranges are usually beautiful. These are all PO71s, and this one's called transparent orange from the tube set, but they call it just orange in the other sets. Isn't that pretty? I mean, I guess perhaps you have to like oranges to think that's pretty, but I think that it's beautiful. Oh, this one's a little different. This one is a little darker, deeper. Interesting. And then we have an orange in the emerald set. This one also looks darker just from the swatch I have from the emerald set. Interesting. So I would say the emerald set and the 4th gen oranges are the same, and the one from the tube is slightly different. Let me just get a little more paint on there, even though it won't really matter. But we'll see what they look like when they dry. But this one definitely looks brighter. I know that's probably not coming across in the camera, especially that I put more water over it just now in paint. But we'll see when it's dry. Yeah, this one looks more brown. Okay. Whatever. Now we have a classic cadmium red light with the PR 108. I'm excited to see this one. I don't have like a bunch of water on it, so it may not show all of its granulating properties, but that's okay. And then the only one we have an actual PR8 in is the 5th generation set. The others are basically hues. They say cadmium red hue or something like that, but the pigment was so different I did not want to compare them, but they do look the same. Now we have burnt sienna. I wonder why they put this in the middle of the reds and the purples. It's kind of weird, but that's okay. I just kept it in the order they were in the box. This is actually a nice burnt sienna. PR 101 and PBK 9. I like it. The only match we had was from the 5th generation. Here, as you can see, same exact pigments. Brush is a little drier than before. I think they are the same. All right, I'm excited for this one because PR 254 is my favorite red pigment of all time. They call it Pyrrole Ruby Red from the tube set. Oh, yeah, interesting. It definitely has the ruby red kind of vibe to it. It's very pink. Let me see if I can get a little bit thicker. I had a lot of water on my brush and then it activated really easily. Yeah, I don't think these are gonna be a match, but I could be wrong. So this large ceramic pan is called Chinese red, and I'll get it from a place that's not contaminated with the blue. And it's a PR 254. And there's a lot on my brush. Let me just dab a little off. Oh, it's closer than I realized. In fact, it looks exactly the same. So these, yeah, this is not the PR 254 fire engine red that, so the floral set had a PR 254 Chinese red. I didn't write that 4 very well, so that didn't look great, but let's grab that one. Whoa, so strong. That floral set, it's just a good set. All right, this one's already drying out and these two are still wet, but I think they're exactly the same. Now we're on to another one that has a lot of so-called matches, but you guys probably know PV19 can show up in so many different forms, so we'll see how much they actually match. The one in the tube set is called Quinacridone Rose, and that is gorgeous, for the record. That's beautiful. The one in the 5th generation set is also called Quinacridone Rose. Need more water. Exactly the same. Now in the 4th gen set, the one that kind of should match it, the only one with PV19 was this Carmine, which I would say is a match. I have a little more pigment at the top of that one than this one though, which I try not to do because that just makes things confusing, right? But there, I'll put a little more pigment at the top there. I don't know if that helped or hindered. And the Emerald set has one called Carmine, which was a PV19. And that looks very pretty and pink and bright. And the Floral set, its supposed match is PV19. And it's called Rose Red, but some of the literature in the set says it's Quinacridone Rose. Yeah. I would say they are all the same, so you only need one of them. I'm excited for this Perylene Maroon because it's one we don't see too often. It's a PR 179, and it's only in tube set and the 5th generation set at this point. They do have a 48 pan set that they are coming out with, or have come out with, and they were going to send that to me, but they had some issues with the, I don't know, getting it to Amazon or getting it to their distributors. And so they sent me this tube set instead. But yes, those are exactly the same. Now this one will be interesting because there were only 2 Venetian reds and the rest were called English reds, but they are all PR 101s. But again, PR 101s can come in so many varieties. So it'll be interesting to see if these are even close to the same. So that re-wet beautifully. It's quite strong. This one came out of the tube kind of aggressively, so I have a large dot of it. I think only 2 of them kind of poofed out of the tube when I put them on the little palette paper. This in the Oriental Green or whatever the PG7 is called. Yep, that's exactly the same. I'm really kind of glad they're the same because I can make my big palette a little more easily and keep the tubes as refills. Okay, we have an English red in the 4th gen. So it's not called Venetian, but is it the same? I think it has a tiny less red in it than the other 2. So in person, these look exactly the same to me, and this one looks a little bit, I guess not more red, more orange. But in the camera, it's kind of making these 2 look the same and this one look different, but it's not what I'm seeing in person. Let's just see what this Emerald set English red looks like and we'll let these dry. All right, so I would say these 2 match and these 2 match. So the English red is different than the Venetian red, which is exactly what I was hoping to find out. We need to know these things. And there's only Indian red in the tube set. It probably will come out in the 48 pan set too, but oh my gosh. Oh, that's so pretty. I didn't expect it to be quite so purple. Oh, that's gorgeous. It's a PR 101 and a PR 206. Oh, I'm excited to have that color. And yep, I have nothing like that, not even close in any of the other pan sets here. Moving on, we have the quinacridone maroon. This is a PV 42. And we have several supposed matches for this one. This is 5th Gen Quin Maroon, named the same. It's got a slightly different name in the 4th generation. This is Magenta. Might be a little pinker. We'll see when it soaks into the paper. And Magenta also from the Emerald set. And that one looks the same. This one, it's almost like the paper just soaked it in differently. So let me see if I can't get the paper to be more cooperative. No, it's just pulling the paint up now. There. Probably gonna make it look different. Let me grab some more from the tube again. Who knows? But I think they might all be the same. I don't know. These look a little more pink and these look a little more purple, but we will see. We have a lot of supposed matches for Quin Violet. That's our next color here, which is a PV19, but PV19s are the same as other pigments that you can have a huge variation in them. So you can see like this next one is going to be called Quin Rose. And I suspect that's not going to match at all, but we will find out. No, the Quin Rose we did back here, the 5th generation Quin Rose. Yeah, so we don't actually have a match in this one. So the Quin Rose we did, you know, is this color, right? So definitely it's a PV19, but not a match at all. So that's how, one of the things you can see huge difference. Same, the Carmine in the 4th generation we did on the previous page, so it's also super pink. I don't really think that we need to do that one again. Oops, I think I grabbed the wrong one there. Yeah, so I must have been sleeping when I did write these down as possible matches, or just did them at a completely different time than the previous page, because they are not even close to the same. Because yeah, we have Carmine and we have Magenta. So yeah, I did grab the right one here, but whew, yeah, not even close. So those will be big X's. Same with the Emerald set. Yeah, again, it's the Carmine, so yes, no match there. But we do have in the Emerald set, I'll change that because I want to show you this one. It's not a match at all, but it's kind of an interesting color. Where did that blue come from? Hold that thought. So I want to show you this. This is from the Emerald set, and it's hard to get a lot of color out of it. So it really reminds me of a cobalt violet, actually. But if we had to force a color to be somewhat similar to that one, this is as close as we're gonna get. What is this one called? This one is called Violet PV16. So definitely not a match, but closer than those other crazy ones I tried to put in there. Nope, nope, nope. So the Quin Violet from the tube set is unique. And there are a couple more violets coming up, but for some reason they decided to put the blues first after the pinks, and then we get into the actual dark purples. So this is cobalt turquoise. It looks quite pretty. Typical cobalt, kind of light at first. Very granulating. And the only one I could even get close to this is the turquoise light from the floral set. And I suspect it's going to be a little different. Okay, it's not as different as I thought it would be. It definitely looks more, I don't know if you want to say vibrant or whatever in the pan over there. But while they are definitely not exact matches. You can see they're obviously different pigments, PB28 versus PB36. They are similar enough in hue that if you only had one or the other, it would be fine. But we'll see when they dry. Kind of a fun one coming up, translucent turquoise, PB16. We have a match from that in the 5th generation set here. And that is also one I was sent in the large ceramic pans here from Paul Rubens that I didn't really get to try because it did not fit in the painting I did for them. Interesting. The large ceramic pan one seems a little bit darker, but it is a PB16. I didn't write that down, but so I would say, yep, interchangeable. So this is another one that I didn't really feel like there was an equal paint for it in any of the other sets. Cobalt blue light here, PB28, and when you squeeze it out of the tube, it's one of those really stiff ones. You have to squeeze hard because it's a stiff pigment. However, it re-wet here just fine. So the only kind of equivalent maybe would be the cobalt blue from the floral set. So let's give that a try. Let's see how this compares. Oh, interesting. I thought they would be more different, but they are not. Same, same. All right, this next one here, I'm just guessing on, even though the tube set has PW4 and PB15:3, I'm wondering if they're going to be close enough to compare to the just regular phthalo blues. Well, they call them cyan in many of the other sets and sea blue in that set, but they're all PB15:3s. And boy, I don't see white in this. I wonder if they mislabeled that and this is just PB15:3 because looks like a pretty standard phthalo blue. Here it is from the 5th generation set. That hue is slightly different. Okay, well, I don't know. I put that second layer on, now they don't look so different, do they? Cyan from the 4th generation. It's where this paper is a little different from one square to the next. Interesting. This is the cyan from the emerald set. That got dark fast. And the only PB15:3 from the floral set was called sea blue. These are changing quite a bit as they're drying, so we will have to come back to those and take a look and see what we think. Next up we have Berlin blue, which is our Prussian blue. It's a PB27. I'm excited to see this one. That's really pretty. I just used Daniel Smith's Mayan dark blue in a video, and this reminds me a lot of that color. It's got a green tint to it. It's quite nice. And then I forgot, I know Paul Rubens has the large ceramic pan of Prussian blue, and I just forgot I don't own it. I was like, oh, I have 2 blues over there. One of them is a Prussian. No, I have the translucent turquoise and the French ultramarine in the large ceramic pans. So unfortunately, I can't show you guys that one. Now we have Berlin blue from the 5th generation. Yeah, that looks exactly the same. Has that nice greenish, yellowish undertone. So pretty. It's actually called Prussian blue in the 4th generation. That's different. Did I get the wrong one? Nope. Okay. So they actually pulled this 4th generation set really quickly. Paul Rubens did, because the indigo and probably this color were not quite the same as some of the others. Some of the other sets, I should say. And so they pulled it. If you have a 4th generation set of Paul Rubens paint, then you are pretty lucky. Interesting, the Emerald set and the 4th generation set actually look very similar in color, but they are definitely different than these two. We'll see when they dry, as usual. I'm going to show you all of these dry at the end, so don't worry. You will see all of this. Now we're to our standard ultramarine, or if you want to call it French blue. That's what they call it, right? French blue coming up. Highly granulating from the tube. Pretty light in pigment at first. Reminded me of that cobalt turquoise we just used on the previous page. Okay, pretty hue though. I do have this one in the large pan. I'll try and find a place that is not contaminated by the red. Is there a place that's not contaminated by the red? I think this corner. Wow, it's just so nice and strong out of this large ceramic pan. Very happy with those. 5th gen, it's also called French blue. This one seems slightly less granulating than the previous two. 4th gen. Emerald set. And the floral set. They all look the same to me. Moving right along, but definitely stay tuned to the end when I show them to you dry, because as I'm waiting for the pages to dry to flip over to these new pages, some very interesting things are happening, and I'm excited to show you guys. All right, we have a brilliant blue violet, which is a mixture of PB29 and PV23. And I didn't think we had any kind of matches to this in any of the other sets, but I was super investigative. And I did find violet from the 4th generation, but the violet pigment is a PV19 instead of a PV23, but I still wanted to try it. And here that is. They are not the same, I don't think. We'll see when they dry, but this one looks different, not as blue. And boy, when dioxazine violet came up, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have so many similar ones. They're in every set, right? No, they're not. Tube set is PV23. Okay, got a lot of water on that one. So hopefully that doesn't affect that too much. 5th gen is also PV23. All these are PV23s. Try and get, whoa. I was going to try and get a similar amount of water, but that one got dark fast. Holy moly. So we do not have a similar amount of water because that was a lot of pigment. Instead of it being called dioxazine violet in the floral set, it's called permanent violet, but it is a PV23. It seems a little different in the undertone, but again, noticing lots of changes as they dry, so we'll have to wait and see. Nothing even close to the End Enthroned Blue in any of these other sets, so it stands alone here. It's a PB60 typical, and it's beautiful. On to one of my favorite colors, indigo, but I already know these are going to be quite a bit different. Some may be similar, but some are going to be way different. Indigo from the tube is PB15:1 mixed with PB66. And the indigo in the 5th generation matches those pigments. And this is one where even though the pigments didn't match, I put them in here just like the Naples yellow because I wanted you to see the huge differences among these sets in the indigo. The emerald set might be the same pigments, but they only say that it's PB15 by itself, no colon anything, but whatever, it's probably the same. Let's see if it's the same hue or not. Whoa, did I choose the right one? I did not. Hopefully that doesn't affect it. Okay, let's try that again. Oh wow, that's pretty. I can't really tell if it's going to be the same or not. It looks slightly less blue leaning, or green leaning, if that makes sense. Okay, floral set has completely different pigments in their indigo. PV19, PB15, and PBK6. Interesting. Just make sure I got the right one. Just make sure. Oh my gosh, that's so hard to read. But yes, it says indigo. Well, case in point right there. That one is vastly different. And the 4th generation one is the one everyone was having a heart attack about because it has almost no pigment to it, but it's also one of the prettiest colors that there is. Like, look at that. If you want just a light, beautiful blue, this gets you there. So I am not sad to have this mistake of an indigo, because this indigo is one of the reasons they pulled this set so quickly. But I love it and I'm glad to have it, so I feel very lucky having this 4th gen set just for that. Now we have May Green. It's a PY151 and a PG7. Again, the only exact match to this one is the 5th gen set, but all of these other bright greens in these other sets look like the same hue at first glance, so that's why I've put them in here. Here's the 5th gen one. Dang it, I had a lot of water in my brush again because I was cleaning that pan out. There we go. Now the 4th gen definitely looks exactly the same in the pan. It's nice and bright. It's called May Green, but it is a completely different pigment listed. They only list PG7 and it's missing the PY version of the pigment, but I mean, if they made that with just PG7, well, I guess more power to them. The floral set here, this one looks a little bit different. This one looks a little bit brighter. It's called Permanent Green. It's PG36, PY3, and PY74. But it does look a little brighter in the pan. Although on paper, it's looking pretty much the same. We'll see. Everything has to dry. In the emerald set here, we have May Green, just PG7, so same as 4th generation. The emerald set and the 4th generation, I think, were released pretty close to each other, so that's why so many of these are similar to each other between those two sets. Yeah, I think that one is a little brighter. And now we have another standalone color just from the tube set, and that is the sap green. So I am excited to see what this looks like. It's a PY153 mixed with the PG7. And just because I'm a sap green lover, let's just make more of that. Ta-da! Okay, so there's sap green. And now one of my least favorite colors, Oriental Green, PG7. Useful color, but still one of my least favorites. And that's okay. I don't have to love them all. Here's from the tube. That's one that came out in a hurry and is a big puddle over here on my palette paper. Well, big compared to the others. Here's the 5th generation Oriental Green. Looks the same, except for maybe human error in the amount of water versus pigment. In the 4th generation here, it's called Brilliant Green to get their PG7, so that one is different. At least at first glance, it's different. I think I'm going to put just a little bit more paint on this 5th generation one. I kind of want them to have an equivalent amount of each one. Now I feel like I should go back and put more on this one. Ay, ay, ay. Human error, I tell ya. All right, Emerald Green Light is what this one is called in the floral set. You can see it's a different pigment, at least according to their listing, but based on the swatching, it looks very similar. Okay, but it's not. I don't have my swatch card for this palette set for some reason, so I pulled up my video and was kind of looking at the colors. But yeah, that one's definitely different. PG-36 in this case is not matching PG-7, which you wouldn't expect it to, but still, had to check these things. I don't know, with this little experiment, I'm kind of starting to think that Paul Rubens' pigment information's not quite as inaccurate as we thought. All right, that one looks the same. It's a PG-7, but yep, this one here needs crossed out. Kind of an exciting one here. There were 3 matching pigments, different names versus the tube set. You can see the tube set's called just regular olive green, but it is a PO62 mixed with a PG36. And these other 2 have the same pigments in them, but they're called olive green yellowish. Now that's going to be a really useful color for landscapes and whatnot. The camera is making it look super bright, kind of more like it has some PG-7 or something in it, but no, that is an olive green in person. Interesting, the camera just cannot handle that color. It's beautiful. I mean, if you can call an olive green beautiful, that one is beautiful. So 5th generation doesn't have a match. The 5th generation just has an olive green dark here, so no exact match. But the 4th generation has an olive green yellowish, and this is what it looks like. Yep, looks exact. And the emerald set also has this color in it. And there that is. Yeah, they look exactly the same. On to the last 4 colors here. We've got olive green dark from the tube, PO62 and PG7. So with that PG7 in it, I imagine it's going to be quite a bit brighter. Yes, this is definitely not an olive green. Not what I think of as olive green. It reminds me of a hooker's green. The pigments that match that from the 5th generation. Why does it say permanent green here when it's olive green dark over here? I'm confused. What did I do? Yeah, it's olive green dark. So I just messed that up is all. So it is not permanent green from the 5th gen. It is olive green dark. It is permanent green from the 4th generation. Same pigments. It's also called permanent green from the emerald set. Now we have cobalt turquoise dark. Kind of excited for this one. Typical cobalt. Angry to get you a good thick version of it. Very pretty though. And we do have that same one in the 5th generation, but none of the others. They are not an exact match. One is more blue and is more green. Well, alrighty then. Moving on to brown umber. PB15:1, PBR7, and PBK9. And I think you can probably see here why on these 2 I included sepia from those sets, because this is very sepia-like. And the brown umber from the 5th generation set has the exact same pigments in it as the tube set. This one almost felt like it was going down more black than the previous one. We will see when it dries, of course. And then the sepia from the 4th generation has the PB15:1 and the PBR7, but instead of PBK9, this one has PBK6. Oh, that's pretty. That's much more brown than these other 2. And then the sepia from the emerald set is the exact same pigments as the sepia from the 4th generation. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I think it's the same as the 4th generation, but I just got a different amount of pigment on my brush. Just curious what the Van Dyke brown looks like from the floral set. Oh, interesting. So that's the Van Dyke brown from the floral set. And then the floral set also has a burned brown, which I think is quite a bit different, but burned brown. Yep, I'll have to watch this video back to see what these are. This one looks the same, but it says it's only a PBR7. Last is our ivory black, PBK9. This one doesn't seem like it's re-wetting very well. Oh, yeah, it is not. Huh. It is now, so that one needs a minute for water to sit on it to wake up, and all I did was just do the swatch, get some more water and put on it. So just in that little time, I did get a little bit more life out of it. And then we have ivory black only in the 5th generation set. The others are all just, oh, it's the same. It's super light until you must have to wake it up as well. Anyway, the other blacks are PBK6s, which supposedly it's like a lamp black. And I guess we could try them from these other sets, but they are different. PBK6s, oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so that's the black from the 4th generation set. This is from the emerald set. It's a PBK6 as well. And the floral set does not have a black. So that's the only blacks two we have. So yeah, the PBK6s are a lot different. These two just don't want to wake up, and these two are live right from the beginning. Okay, these have all had a few hours to dry. I think you could get away with using just one or the other of these and not having both in your palette, even though this one is a little bit brighter. It's kind of interesting. I'll show you this one next to the earth yellows here in a minute, but you would need one of these two, or this one, I guess. I mean, it's basically the same hue, just lighter, even though it's a PY42 only, supposedly. But so one of these two and one of these two to represent this. And this is more like the Naples yellow reddish, in my opinion. And this is not really a Naples yellow. It's just so bright, but it's pretty. And the lemon yellows, all equivalent, in my opinion. Cadmium yellow lights, yeah, they are all equivalent-ish. Obviously, I crossed off this last one because it's much brighter. And then the tube one does look lighter. Cadmium yellow light. Anyway, they all say that. No. Well, this one is also called cadmium yellow light. But anyway, it dried lighter, but I could have had lighter pigment. As far as the hue and stuff, you could pick any one of these. In fact, the PY3s are so similar to it as well. You probably wouldn't even need one of each, but you could if you wanted. And here are the cadmium yellow medium and the permanent yellow medium. Exactly the same in my opinion. Yes, I have a little more pigment on the top of that one, but the hue is the same. Indian yellows are the same. So this is where it gets interesting. This is that same Naples yellow from the 5th gen. So interesting, the front and back side of the paper, because look at it over here versus here. And it does kind of match these pretty well. Yes, it's lighter, a little bit more, I don't know, orange if you will. But it's interesting that it matches those so well. As far as the rest of these, they're all pretty similar. This one either reconstituted more easily and became much stronger pigment-wise, or it is stronger, but the rest all look the same to me. These look exactly the same. These are exactly the same. So these are not the same, which is interesting. This is what I'm finding out about Paul Rubens. When they have a different pigment name, they look different. This is the transparent orange, and these are just plain old orange. So while these two match each other exactly, this one is slightly different. It's a little bit more of that, what I consider burnt orange. It's quite pretty. Matches other transparent oranges like coarse and hue more or less. I don't have it right next to me to compare, but they are different. Transparent orange versus orange. So this one got swatched a little lighter because I think I dropped water in it accidentally. I don't know, but they are the same. Same hue, just this one has more water in it. These are exactly the same. Same with these three. In my opinion, they are the same enough. This one, for some reason, this one kind of strikes me as the tiniest bit more purple, but if you look up here, they're the same. So now this one's interesting because I went back over that again, and it must be the paper. because it keeps coming up with these dots. So this is not a happy part of this paper. But as far as hue goes, the Quin Roses are the same. The ones labeled Carmine and then this one Rose Red are different. So even though they're the same PV19, but we talked about having so many variations of that pigment and many other pigments. But anyway, Carmine's the same. I think this one could be considered the same as these two, but this one is more cool. Or these two are more cool. These are exactly the same. Here's another case of different name, and they look different. So the Venetian Reds are exactly the same. Yes, this one had a little bit more water in it, so it appears to be a little bit lighter, but it's not. Exact same hue. Where these are a little bit more orange or brown, whichever way you want to consider it. So Venetian Reds equivalent, English Reds equivalent. So you would need both of these if you wanted to represent both of these colors. And look at this Indian Red. It looks separating and beautiful. So we have another case of the names matching and the pigments not. So these are all PV42s, but these two labeled quinacridone maroon are exactly the same. And these two labeled magenta are exactly the same as each other, but these two are not the same as these two. These two are cooler. And then we don't have an exact match for violet at all in any of the other sets. Quinacridone violet, excuse me. These two are two different pigments, but the exact same hue. This one has slightly larger granulation. This is a little bit finer, but I don't think you would need both of these in a set, even though they are different pigments, if the pigment information is correct, and I'm going to assume it is. I've seen PB36s that look like this. This is fine. They do have two different characteristics, but if you cover the mass tone, they look almost identical. And even in the mass tone, they're pretty close. This one is just a little bit softer in color, that's all. Just a little bit softer. And these three are exactly the same. I would say I just had more water on this one. And or the one in the large ceramic pan is just a little bit more pigmented, but they have the same hue across the board. In my opinion, these cobalt blues are exactly the same. And here again, we have the case of Paul Rubens made the paint have a different name, and they are different. So this one here, when I first put it down, I told you guys I'm not sure that it really has white in it. It seems the same as these others. That was true when it was wet. But when it dried, you can obviously see, I can obviously see, I hope you can too, it is more opaque, okay? And the hue is slightly different than all of the rest of them. So yes, it is a completely different color, and that one was called Azure Hue. This phthalo blue here, it kind of stands on its own. It doesn't really match any of these other 2, 4, 3. However, both of these labeled cyan look pretty much exactly the same, and the sea blue is just slightly brighter. I still think you could get away with any of these 4 as a so-called phthalo blue and be fine and probably never notice. You would notice a difference if you only chose that one though. Case in point again about Paul Rubens and their naming conventions. So this is Berlin Blue. I told you it reminds me of the Daniel Smith Mayan Dark Blue. That pigment is PB82, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And this is a PB27, and these are also PB27s. So Berlin Blues, what these two are named, and they look exactly the same. The light is kind of probably being a little deceiving on this one here, but they look exactly the same here in my studio in person. And these two look exactly the same, and they're called Prussian Blue. So the names mean something here in Paul Rubens, people. In my opinion, these are all exactly the same hue. I would say that the French Blue from the tube, it looks like it granulated a little bit, I don't know, larger, heavier, if you want to say that, than the ones here from the pan. And you could probably argue that this 5th Gen one is a tiny bit more purple leaning. You may not see that purplishness in the camera. It seems real obvious to me here in the studio though. It even reminds me in my mind a little bit of the, and same with this one, of having a little bit of lavender in it. But anyway, they are all the same. We could pick one of these, or I could pick one of these, and I'd be perfectly happy with that as an ultramarine. So when I was swatching these, I felt like these were different, but now that they are dried in person here, they look exactly the same. I can see on camera that this one is looking maybe a little bit more blue or a little bit lighter somehow, but I don't know. I had to bring it up close there. The difference is super subtle. Yes, I think that's accurate. This is a tiny bit more bluer, but I think you could get away with either one of these in your painting and never even notice the difference. All right, all of these PV23s are exactly the same. I just happened to get a super thick pigment lay down on that one, but they are the same hue across the board. You can see how much water that had in it because it even backwashed. And Enthroned Blue, PB60, nothing to compare it to. It's beautiful. Look at this plethora of indigos. I accidentally closed the book with some olive green wet. Oops. But I think you can see through it. Such an interesting variety. So when I swatched them wet, these two looked pretty similar. I thought they were going to dry exactly the same, but you can see they're a little bit different. If I had to choose between these two, I would choose this one. It just seems like a little bit more even milling of the pigment. And this one seems a little bit, I don't know, it has more variation, and I have to be careful because some of that could be this crazy rag paper this caddy book has, but some of it, I mean, sometimes it's good to use paper like this because you see differences like this. But this is beautiful. When I think of indigo, I tend to think of something along this color here, although this one is quite nice too. The emerald set, this floral set, boy, I mean, it says all of these have PB15 in them, but this one is like, boom, PB15 in your face along with these other pigments. So I don't prefer that one. I still do love this one as the light versions. It'd be tempting to put all of these in a palette. You could probably leave this one out and have a really good representation of the different indigos. May Green. In my opinion, even this one that we thought was brighter at the beginning, they all look the same. You could choose any one of these 5 in your palette and never know the difference between them, in my opinion. So I guess if you want to trust the single pigment ones, those might be the safest bet, right? The less pigments you're mixing in, the better. I don't know. They're all the same. I like them all. They're all useful. I'm just going to pick one. Sap Green. It is a little bit brighter than I like, but I have to remind myself I use bright greens all the time, and so it's a little bit less bright than the May Green, so another useful color. Okay, this array of PG7s here, except this one is PG36 that actually was a different color, so that one needs an X through it like the others. Does not qualify. However, you could pick any of the others. They're exactly the same. Yeah, I think I got that one a little more pigmented, but the hue is just spot on the same. Look at these. They are essentially the same. If you got really nitpicky and it's more visible on camera than in person, this one is a tiny bit brighter than these two. These two match each other exactly, perhaps a tiny bit brighter. And it's amazing how the camera really pulls that difference out. If I were just glancing through this sketchbook, kind of willy-nilly, I'd be like, oh no, that's all the same color. Gotta have a discerning eye to see that difference. Aren't these interesting? So both of these were called Olive Green Dark, and they don't look the same to me. This one looks a little more PG-7-y, and this one looks a little more darker, more muted. However, these two look exactly the same to me. I would kind of be interested to swatch this one next to these two and kind of see if this is more just like paper difference coming out or what. But let me see if I could like fold it. I could fold it. Hang on. Yeah, that's fairly close. Fairly close. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference, you know, if I didn't know what I know, having been the one who swatched them. Yeah, that looks exactly the same. Okay, so this one is the outlier. These are not the same at all. They have the same name, the same pigment, and they're very different. One's more blue, one's more green. All right, moving on to these. Brown Umber. As much as I'd like to say these are exactly the same, they're not, but they are close enough. I think you could pick just one and have that in a palette as a representation of that color. And then these two sepias are exactly the same. So again, you would only need one of them. They do have the same exact pigments. Same with those, even though there's more black in this one. Anyway, Van Dyke Brown on the floral set and the Burn Brown from the floral set also pretty much match this sepia. I think, ironically, this one looks a little more black. It has no black in it compared to these. It's just PBR7. But I think you could choose among any of these four as just one. And this one might end up being a little bit lighter than you're hoping for in the long run. So it technically is a different color than these three, but I think these three are pretty equivalent. So these are the PBK6s. I don't remember which sets yet, but they are not as important as these two. Ivory Black. They are completely different when they dried. So this one is more filled in. Again, it's like it's milled finer for these tubes, which is interesting. And this is out of the pan, and it's grayer. It's more separated. It's very interesting. However, I still think you could probably pick one of these two and one of these two and have like a light gray black represented and a dark black represented in a palette. You'd be set. I like this one better. So in the next video, I'm going to be combining all of these Paul Rubens palettes into one, and I'm going to put it in this tin. So if you are not subscribed and you want to see that video and be notified when that releases, it's free to subscribe. And if you like the other videos on my channel, I would love to have you here. For this video, this is a wrap. And I found that extremely fun, very interesting. I think this little sketchbook, several 9 pages worth, will be a great resource for later too. I don't mind using these pages for that at all. I mean, look how many pages I have in this fat book after all. I think it was a good use for these. Anyway, I really hope that you found this comparison useful. I heard that Becky Tregear had the 48 pan set sent to her, and I think she'll be going through that soon. So if you want to see that, check out her channel too. But this is the 36 tube set compared with all of the other sets that I personally own. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a delightful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now. The 5th gen is also called Quinacridone Rose, and I just dipped into the Perylene Maroon. Other than the swatcher being a ding dong. Okay.